Welcome to Wallace and Wire. Today we're talking about Gobind Singh's sharp critique regarding the Malaysia-US Reciprocal Trade Agreement.
Things really heated up in Parliament over this, didn't they?
They certainly did. We saw the digital minister, Gobind Singh, facing some pretty tough questions from the opposition about this RT agreement.
And his response was, well, unusually direct. Almost blunt, you could say.
Yeah, calling out MPs for not understanding simple wording. That's not your everyday parliamentary exchange.
No, it definitely isn't. It felt like it moved beyond just policy debate pretty quickly. When a minister questions competence like that, saying he can't fathom why they don't get it.
It shifts the focus, right, away from the agreement itself.
Exactly. It becomes about the opposition's ability to understand rather than the merits of their concerns. Quite a strategic move, perhaps.
Okay, so let's get into the substance behind this flashpoint. The criticism really came from Ahmad Fadli, the MP for Pasir Mas.
Right, and his core argument wasn't against having an agreement with the U.S., but about what this specific agreement actually lacks.
He felt it didn't have enough teeth, essentially, to protect Malaysia's interests.
Precisely. He pointed to some, specific omissions, things he believes are crucial safeguards for our own development when dealing with a tech giant like the U.S.
What were those key omissions he highlighted?
Well, first, he flagged the lack of mandated technology transfer.
Okay, mandated. So not just hoping it happens, but actually requiring it. What's the practical difference there, say, in ringgit terms for a local tech company?
It's huge. Without a mandate, the core intellectual property, the really valuable stuff, it stays with the foreign company.
So Malaysian firms wanting to use or build on that tech.
They're stuck. They end up paying licensing fees, potentially forever. They can't easily innovate independently based on that tech. It keeps us in the role of consumer or maybe service provider rather than becoming creators ourselves.
Right, a perpetual dependency. What was the second point?
The second was about AI infrastructure, or rather, the lack of explicit clauses ensuring it gets built here in Malaysia.
But wouldn't big U.S. companies build data centers here anyway if there's a market? Why does it need to be in the agreement?
Well, they might. But without a requirement in the RT, they'll likely build where it best suits their global strategy, which might not be here.
Ah, okay.
The opposition wants guarantees. Guarantees that the core infrastructure, the data centers, the cloud facilities, is physically located and primarily managed within Malaysia. Relying on offshore infrastructure for critical stuff, that raises big questions about data security, economic control.
Makes sense. And the third point hits close to home for many people listening, I imagine. Local talent development.
Yes, the development of Malaysian AI experts.
Hmm.
The concern is, without specific requirements for hiring locals or funding training programs.
The investment might come in, but the high-skilled, high-paying jobs could just be filled by imported talent.
That's the fear, that we attract the capital, but we don't build the long-term capability within our own workforce. So the opposition's view basically is that this agreement opens the door for foreign profit, but doesn't do enough to actively lift up Malaysian skills and industry.
And it was this detailed critique focusing on those three specific gaps that prompted that really forceful rebuttal from Minister Gobind Singh.
Yes, he pushed back hard, urging them to, read the agreement properly, expressing confusion about this simple wording issue again.
He drew a line in the sand, didn't he, between agreement and consultation.
He did. He stressed agreement and consultation are different. These are very simple words. And that distinction is actually quite fundamental in legal terms.
How so? Why is that difference so crucial to his argument?
Because an agreement in a treaty like this implies a legally binding commitment. Consultation often just means a commitment to discuss something later without guaranteeing a specific outcome. So if the opposition reads a clause saying the parties will consult on local talent and they interpret that as a hard mandate for tech transfer or local hiring quotas,
then, according to the minister, they're misreading the legal force of the text.
Exactly. He's arguing the agreement allows for these things. It creates the space for future Malaysian policies on local development, which is pretty standard. It just doesn't force them on the U.S. side through this particular document.
But politically speaking, if the minister has to resort to questioning their reading comprehension in Parliament, does that suggest the government's explanation isn't quite landing? Isn't it their job to make these complex agreements clear?
That's the tricky part, isn't it? It's a political balancing act. His frustration might be genuine, rooted in that legal interpretation, but expressing it that way, it also serves to counter the criticism quite forcefully.
Right. He seemed quite exasperated, questioning how long they'd keep asking the same things, accusing them of choosing to continue stirring up the issue.
Yeah, basically framing it as political obstruction rather than genuine scrutiny. He brought up the idea that politics needs a bottom line.
And for him, that bottom line is,
National welfare. Striving for what's best for Malaysia. His argument is essentially, we signed this deal because we believe it serves that bottom line, bringing in investment and access we need. He implies that focusing on stirring controversy over the actual text undermines that national interest.
he was also very firm on sovereignty, wasn't he? Saying the agreement explicitly protects it.
Absolutely. He declared the text clearly states it doesn't limit Malaysia's sovereignty and accused the opposition of ignoring that fact.
How does sovereignty tie into things like AI infrastructure and local talent?
It's crucial. If the agreement truly preserves Malaysia's right to, say, implement our own data protection laws later, or set conditions for foreign tech firms operating here without violating the trade pact.
Then the argument that we're being exploited or losing control weakens considerably.
Precisely. It suggests the government did secure the flexibility to act in the national interest down the line, even if specific mandates aren't in this initial text. It all comes down to that fine print.
So let's step back from the parliamentary drama for a second. For someone listening now, maybe working in tech, maybe just concerned about the economy, how does this debate about wording actually impact their lives, their future prospects in ringgit?
Oh, it has very real consequences. Think about it. Without guaranteed tech transfer, local companies might always be paying those licensing fees we talked about. That limits their ability to grow, to compete globally. It impacts innovation.
And jobs.
Definitely jobs. Does the agreement structure lead to high-value AI development roles being created here for Malaysians? Or are we mainly providing support services for tech developed elsewhere? The details in these agreements shape the future job market. It affects whether your kids, will be building the next AI breakthrough here or just using tools designed overseas.
It really highlights that tension between genuine oversight and political point scoring. The minister said he'd answer constructive questions.
Right, drawing a line between what he sees as legitimate critique and just, as he put it, stirring up the issue.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What is that threshold? When does challenging the government cross from constructive criticism into just political noise? Is it when points get repeated? Or is it, as the minister implies, when clear text addressing concerns like sovereignty is ignored?
That's a really tough question for any parliamentary democracy, especially with complex deals like this. Finding that balance is key.
So this whole debate leaves us with a big question looking forward.
It's about balance, fundamentally.
Mm-hmm.
How do we, as Malaysia, attract the huge foreign investment we need through agreements like RT, while also making sure those deals genuinely build our own long-term capabilities?
Ensuring tangible benefits for Malaysian workers, for our own tech sector, not just profits flowing outwards.
Exactly. It's not just about what the agreement says, but about ensuring our whole system, parliament, industry, education, can effectively engage with these deals to maximize Malaysia's advantage. That's the real challenge for our national welfare in the digital age.
A challenge that requires clear-eyed, factual discussion from everyone involved.
Couldn't agree more.
Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.